Hi, second graders. Today we are going to be learning how to add 110 or 100. So, chapter 8 is all about addition, and it's actually 3-digit addition. So, we are going to be working on how to add 3 digits. So, it says mental math, add 110 or 100. Let's look at the math word. So, counting on just means keeping going forward with your numbers. So, like 1, counting on 2, counting on 3. And then add. We all know what add means. Who remembers what the answer to an addition problem is called? Anybody? If you said some, you are correct. 3 farms each have 240 sheep. Farm A buys 1 more sheep. Farm B buys 10 more sheep. And Farm C buys 100 more sheep. How many sheep does each farm have now? You can count on mentally to add. So you could add 1 in the ones place. So 240 becomes 241. You could add 1 in the tens place. So it's like adding 10, but you just add 1 more in the tens place. So 240, 250. Or you could count on 100 and add 1 more to the hundreds place. So if you look, the hundreds place goes up by 1. So let's go to the bottom and we can do this part together. Let me mark up my page. Okay. So it says count on by 1. So counting on by 1 is adding 1 in the ones place. So we have 450, 400. That's 2. Let's do this and let me get my pen so it's really thin. There we go. So 451 would be 1 more than 450. So 167. So we count on 1 in the ones place. So 168. Adding on 1 in the ones place right here. 525. And then 679 would be, okay, so I can't just put a 1 more, I can't put 1 more here. So that would be kind of when we carry. So it would be, we would add 1 here, but that becomes a 10. So this becomes 1 more, and then this becomes a 0. So it would be 680. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. So count on by 10. So now we're looking at the tens place, and this number just goes up by 1. So it would be 391. 214. So we look at the tens place, and that goes up by 1. So it would be 224. And then let's look at the tens place here. 940 would become 950. And then 706, there's a 0 there, would be 1. So 716. Okay, now let's go on. Count up by 100. So now we add 1 in the hundreds place. So here's our hundreds place. 367. Here's our hundreds place. 1 more than 8 is 9, so 985. 1 more than 7 would be 8, so 836. And 608, so we look at the hundreds place, would be 708. So hopefully that doing that front page together would help you. We'll go on the back page and we'll do the next page together. Let me get out of this picture and we'll go on to the back. So it says match the pattern to its description. So we have to decide, is it counting up by 10, by 1, or 100? So 435, 535, 635, 735. Put a dot underneath which place is changing. Let me change this. Put a dot under what is changing. So the 4 changed to 5, and then a 6, and then a 7. So what place changed? The hundred. So they're counting up by 100. Let's go on to the next one. 618, 619, 620, 621. So it looks like the hundreds and the tens are staying the same and the ones is changing. Now this one's tricky because technically both of these changed, but we're counting up by one because so the tens had to change too. So that would be counting up by one. And let's see the last one. 934, 940, or 933, 943, 953, 963. So it looks like the tens place is changing in this one. And so you can put a line up there. Now it says continue the pattern, right? +1, +10, or +100. So we have to decide, are we adding 1, 10, or 100? 319, 329, 339. So what place is changing? It's +10 because the tens place is changing. And the next one would be 349. Let's see the next one. 298, 398, 498. So the 2 changed, the 3 changed, and the 4 changed. So that would be the hundreds place. So we're adding 100. So what would be next? 2, 3, 4, so 598. And next, 527, 528, 529. What's changing is the ones place. We're adding 1. So next would be 500 and what's 1 more than 529? Well, we add a 1 here. That becomes a 10, right? So this would be 0. And this, you add 1 up here, right? So 0 down here. We add, so it'd be 3. So it'd be 530. Okay. Now we have problem solving, my favorite part. Brooke scores 462 points playing a game. Ashley's score is 10 points more than Brooke's score. Shima's score is 100 points more than Ashley's score. How many points did Shima score? So Brooke's score is 462. So we know that's Brooke. B for Brooke. So you might want to write this on your paper to follow along. B for Brooke. Ashley scores 10 points more than Brooke. So let's do A for Ashley. It's kind of hard to organize my paper. A's are hard to make because they just don't. There we go. That's going to have to be good enough. Ashley is 10 more than this. So we need to add 1 in the tens place. So it would be 472. Now, Shima's, it says, is 100 more than Ashley's. So it's 100 more than 472. Let me make that look more like a 7. It looks like a 1. There. Now, Shima's, S for Shima. Shima's is 100 more. So this is the hundreds place. So Shima's would be 572. So Shima scored 572 points. Brandon says he does not need to add to know which is more. 673 plus 10 or 673 plus 100. Is Brandon correct? Explain why or why not. So Brandon says he does not need to add to know what is more. Well, that's kind of tricky. So technically, he does not have to add in the sense of like writing it on paper. He can do it in his head. He can mentally think, okay, 10 more would just be adding a 1 in the ones place. So adding, maybe the way you think of adding, like 673 plus 10. He wouldn't have to do that. He could use mental math. So I'm thinking what they mean by this question. It's kind of a tricky question. I think that they mean he doesn't have to add, he can use mental math. So is Brandon correct? Well, no, he's not correct because you still have to add even though he's doing mental math. So I think he's not adding since he's doing mental math, but you still add when you do mental math. So no, he's not correct because you still have to add when you do mental math. You're just not doing it on paper. So even though you're not adding like in the way we think of adding sometimes, like writing it down on a piece of paper, you're still adding even if you do it in your head. So hopefully this helps you guys with lesson 8.1. Go ahead and do the next 2 pages on your own.